Chapter 24 Expediency. And Elisha came to Damascus, and Ben-Hadad the king of Syria was sick, and it was told him, saying, The man of God is come hither. And the king said unto Hazael, Take a present in thine hand, and go meet the man of God, and inquire of the Lord by him, saying, Shall I recover of this disease? So Hazael went to meet him, and took a present with him, even of every good thing of Damascus, 40 camels' burden, and then came and stood before him, and said, Thy son Ben-Hadad king of Syria hath sent me to thee, saying, Shall I recover of this disease? And Elisha said unto him, Go, say unto him, Thou mayest certainly recover. Howbeit the Lord hath shewed me that he will surely die. And he settled his countenance steadfastly, until he was ashamed, and the man of God wept. And Hazael said, Why weepeth my Lord? And he answered, Because I know the evil that thou wilt do unto the children of Israel. Their strongholds wilt thou set on fire, and their young men wilt thou slay with the sword, and wilt dash their children and rip up their women with child. And Hazael said, But what is thy servant a dog, that he should do this great thing? And Elisha answered, The Lord hath showed me that thou shalt be king over Syria. So he departed from Elisha, and came to his master, who said to him, What said Elisha to thee? And he answered, He told me that thou shouldest surely recover. And it came to pass on the morrow that he took a thick cloth, and dipped it in water, and spread it on his face, that he died, and Hazael reigned in his stead. 2 Kings 8, 7-15. The presence of Elisha in Syria should not surprise us. God had called Israel not for its own sake, but for his purposes, and it was required to be a missionary people. The extent to which this task was fulfilled appears in Psalm 87 and in 2 Chronicles 6, 32-33. In Jonah, we see another instance of this same mandate. The king, Ben-Hadad, son of the god Hadad, was very seriously ill. He ordered a close aide, Hazael, to go to Elisha, the man of God, and to ask, Shall I recover of this disease? Hazael was to take with him 40 camels carrying gifts. According to the custom of the times, this was ostentation and honor, even more than a gift. One small gift per camel was not uncommon. The parade of camels attracted notice and did honor to the recipient. We are not told that Elisha accepted these gifts, especially since verse 11 in Moffat's paraphrase reads, quote, As he spoke, the man of God's face became rigid with horror, absolute horror. Then he burst into tears. End quote. Elisha had no desire for any bond with Hazael. Elisha said, Tell the king he shall recover, knowing that Hazael intended to say so in any case, but he added, He shall surely die. Hazael's presence before Elisha was a reminder of Elisha's calling many years earlier. Elijah, in declaring Elisha to be a successor, had declared that Elisha would appoint Hazael to rule Syria and to bring judgment on Israel. Now Elisha had before him a man who was preparing to seize the throne, the Hazael whom Elijah had predicted would do so. Hazael was then told what he would do to Israel: burn its strongholds, kill its youth, dash out the brains of small children, and rip open pregnant women. It was now Hazael's turn to react with horror. But what is thy servant a dog, that he should do this great thing? There is no reason to doubt Hazael's sincerity in this answer. He was a cultured gentleman of the court, not a hoodlum or a criminal. Hazael's indignation was real, but he did not know himself. Only in the Lord do we know ourselves as sinners and our great capacity for self-justification. Hazael's self-justification was an easy one. First, Syria faced a great foreign threat, Assyria. Sooner or later, the terrifying Assyrian advance would be resumed, and Syria's life would be threatened. Second, Syria had a very sick king who held all the power, but was incompetent in that, in his illness, he could neither rule effectively nor act militantly. Third, given the king's trust in Hazael, it is likely that Hazael was an able and competent man. It was thus easy for Hazael to see that, logically, Syria needed him. To kill a trusting king was a sad act, but for Hazael, the circumstances made it the lesser of evils. Scripture, however, does not affirm man's reasoning or logic. Our motives can be most suspect when we believe that we are most noble if we are not in obedience to God's law word. The Bible declares, first of all, that we are sinners, that, quote, "There is none righteous, no, not one, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God," Romans 3:10 and 23. Second, we are not sinners in any abstract sense. We are sinners because we are rebels against God and His word. The tempter's words of cynicism concerning God's law echo in the heart of all Adam's seed. Yea, hath God said, Genesis 3:1. Third, we are would-be gods and lawmakers who seek to deify ourselves and our will as law, Genesis 3:5. Hazael used a wet blanket to suffocate the king. It left no visible mark and made the king's death seem to be the result of natural causes. With this step, Hazael entered the world of expediency. The fundamental law of Rome from its earliest days was this: the welfare of the people is the highest law. What constituted the public welfare was something which the rulers alone determined. In terms of this, in time, no evil became impossible for the Roman state, and one evil after another was seen as a virtue and a higher law. This was true of Hazael. Note the crimes predicted by Elisha. First, Elisha said that Hazael would murder the king. This meant control of Syria. Second, he would destroy Israel's stronghold, apparently all those aimed at protection against Syria. Earlier rulers had often sought an alliance. Now Hazael planned a very radical conquest and absorption. Third, the young men of Israel would be executed. This would eliminate an Israelite military class in order to prevent any future rebellion. The country would then be left with only old men, old women, and young girls. Fourth, women who were pregnant would be ripped open to kill them and any possible sons. This would leave the non-pregnant women, quote-unquote, free to be taken by Syrians to breed more Syrians. Step by step, in terms of national defense and a pragmatic perspective, Hazael became the very dog or monster he had despised. Without the fixed limits of God's law, expediency and pragmatism will govern men and lead them from evil to evil. We either grow from strength to strength in the Lord, or by compromise with our reasoning and logic, we become that which we may have once despised and called debased. If we are not the servants of God who believe and obey His every law word, we become our own lawmakers, justifying one evil after another in terms of expediency. Why did Elisha say what he did? Did he give Hazael ideas? The fact is that Hazael came to Elisha with his plan in mind. It was executed on the following day at an opportune moment. Elisha spoke to bring self-realization to Hazael. As the years passed, with each step Hazael took, his own words to Elisha were in his memory to haunt him. "Is thy servant a dog?" This remark can only be appreciated if we understand the place of dogs in his day. Dogs were the scavengers of the cities. Among other things, they were the ready consumers of feces, thereby cleaning up the walled city. Until the communists created famines led to the eating of family dogs in China, one of the functions of the dog was to be called to wipe a baby's buttocks clean by eating and licking up the feces. According to an American doctor's statement to me, because a dog's tongue is one of the cleanest things in nature, no Chinese babies had buttock rashes or infections. This was what dogs were, as Hazael and Elisha knew them. Not house pets, but scavengers and feces eaters. Hence Hazael's shocked words, "Is thy servant a dog?" Events were to prove what he was, and he himself, not Elisha, had best described himself. We can understand, therefore, Elisha's horror, so well conveyed by Moffat, and what Hazael would become. Hazael had been ordained by God to judge Israel, 1 Kings 19:14-18. Judgment was also to come to Israel from within Israel in the form of Jehu. Israel, while nominally given to Jehovah worship, had so compromised it with the religious currents of the time as to make it impotent. More than that, God despised their syncretistic faith and refused to regard it as true religion. Rather, he saw it as offensive and evil, and deserving of very radical judgments. Israel's religion was marked by pragmatism and expediency. It was to be judged by a man who was ruled by the same evil,